retirement ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Major James T. Mitchell. Lieutenant Colonel Kuchar, Deputy Commander of Special Operations Detachment Pacific, will now speak on the career of Major Mitchell.
Thanks, Jimmy, for that walk-on.
No big deal.
Welcome, General Sellers, distinguished guests, family and friends. Today I have the, actually, let me do this real quick. Today I have the distinct honor of kicking off this retirement ceremony to celebrate a Special Operations warrior with 28 years of Special Operations experience.
30 years minus 2 at PLU, okay?
Plus 2 years at PLU, so for all intents and purposes, this is your day, Jimmy. We're going to give you the full 30. I also have the pleasure of introducing our Commanding General of the Washington Army National Guard, Brigadier General Paul T. Sellers, who will follow my remarks. But first, sir, Jimmy wanted me to let you know that he wanted a true blue 2nd Battalion Ranger to get this thing started.
No big deal.
Jimmy has led a life of service to our country and community, and in many ways, his military retirement only opens the door for him to focus more on serving our community, particularly in his role as the Senior Sergeant and leader of TAC 30 King County SWAT Team. So my remarks are going to focus on service and people, two things that Jimmy is great at. No one will remember what you do for yourself, but everyone will remember what you do for others. And Jimmy has dedicated his life, certainly his military career, to service and people. Starting with service, let's set the record straight on Jimmy's distinguished career, and I get the opportunity to tell some stories that he may not otherwise tell. Jimmy enlisted in the Army in 1993, heading straight to 2nd Ranger Battalion, the battalion, where he rose to the rank of Staff Sergeant Promotable in Alpha Company, 2nd Platoon, Black Sheep. I was in the Earth Pig, so Alpha Company proud, but there's a little bit of animosity there. There you go. He got his first taste of combat there in 2nd Ranger Battalion in Haiti in support of Operation Uphold Democracy as a Ranger Private. He also, as a Ranger Private, got to ride on an aircraft carrier. Not something many Rangers get to do, the USS America. One of the few times in history where the Navy let Rangers ride on one of their ships, and probably one of the last. Just picture an aircraft carrier loaded with Rangers and Army helicopters. The Navy even allowed a pallet of thermite grenades on a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. And in a small dig on the Navy, also probably a last, that was also the last time that enlisted and officers ever shared a meal in the officers' mess. So you can picture all these Rangers running around on an aircraft carrier, dumping thermite grenades in the Caribbean Sea and crashing the officers' mess at unforeseen hours.
We didn't know there's a separate place to go for officers.
Jimmy's time in 2nd Ranger Battalion later took him to Jordan and Panama, and he certainly established a reputation for himself until he declared that he wanted to become an officer, which then found him kicked out of ACO and into the S3 shop, where Sergeant Major Roberts, who later became the Regimental Sergeant Major and is in the Ranger Hall of Fame, said, and I quote, "You want to be an officer, go spend some time on staff." In Jimmy's words, another reason for going to PLU, he didn't want to be the only one of 12 grandchildren without a college degree. And so, he headed to the ROTC program there where he majored in political science. And if you ever really want to get Jimmy started, ask him for his take on the U.S. Constitution. And for my fellow Rangers in the room and in the audience, bring water to this event because it's going to take a while. Jimmy was the George C. Marshall Award winner and the #1 cadet in the program, and after electing to serve in the reserves instead of going to active duty, Jimmy was awarded for his performance by being branched into the quartermaster branch, which, for those who may not know, is logistics and not fitting for a gentleman such as Jimmy Mitchell. However, that was quickly remedied, and Jimmy found himself an infantry officer headed to the National Guard, but specifically to the Washington State Special Forces Company, ACO 119. And this was in 2003 where he first met then Captain Sellers, our distinguished speaker today, and he nearly immediately headed to Special Forces Assessment and Selection as a second lieutenant. He graduated the qualification course as a first lieutenant shortly after. And I want to point out to those who are unfamiliar, going from a Ranger battalion to an ROTC program while staying in the special operations community the entire time, minus the few details, and not going to the conventional army is a very unique and rare circumstance, and it's just an example of the type of reputation Jimmy had. Our hat, Jimmy, is off to you for dodging your time in the conventional military, your entire career. Jimmy then spent 15 years in Alpha Company 119, the Special Forces Company for the state, with 8 years as an ODA team leader. Also, for those who may not know, the typical tenure for an ODA team leader is 2 years. I don't know how you made it all 8 without getting fired, Jimmy. And
There's several people that want to fire me.
But to do that, you did have to turn down promotion to Major 3 times. Again, just another example of Jimmy's reputation and unique talent. During his tenure as a Special Forces officer in ACO, Jimmy traveled the world, served in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Pakistan, Africa, Congo, Namibia, South Africa, Asia, Korea, Philippines, Guam, Thailand, Malaysia, India, and South America, Colombia, and across Europe. All of this while maintaining a civilian job, air quotes,
Not very well.
as a King County Sheriff's Deputy. And I see we have many law enforcement friends in the audience. And as they probably say, your colleagues would say, Jimmy has nearly 20 years of service in the King County Sheriff's Department, but only 10 months of job experience. In Jimmy's mind, being a Ranger squad leader, an ODA team leader, a SWAT team leader, were the best tactical and operational leadership roles in the Army. I think the audience would agree. But in many ways, they are also the hardest and the most impactful. And they are certainly jobs where you can have the most impact on people. So now let's transition to the second theme of this, which is people. And I thought it would be a fun exercise, we'll see if this backfires, to crowdsource some thoughts from the team on how they would describe Jimmy and what he means to them. Enter my note cards. These are handwritten note cards that I crowdsourced from the team on these 2 things. So, first, Jimmy, how the team described you. Bundle of energy. I read that and thought of a puppy. Cannon of camaraderie. Oozing authenticity. Great storyteller. Intellectual powerhouse. Genius was actually written down on one of the note cards. Also, intellectually opinionated.
Well, yeah. What it is, that's hard, kind of forget about it.
Handsome was written down.
Your dad is a genius.
Don't let that one go to your head, Jimmy. You're still a Ranger. Handsome and Ranger just don't go together, my friend. Charismatic. funny, compassionate, devoted, down to earth. But to bring you down from cloud nine a little bit, someone did write, Jimmy is lacking volume control.
100%.
And the team wanted to leave you with, no big deal. Also the team wrote down a few things on what you mean to them. I've only picked a few here just to keep it short, but I want to read these verbatim out of their handwriting. I'm going to miss his energy, crazy closing comments, and how inclusive he was with everyone. We always know when Jimmy is in the room. His presence and geniality are a great addition to the team. He'll be missed. It's hard to replace someone who is both funny and competent. He radiates boundless positive energy that challenges, inspires, and humors us to be better versions of ourselves. If that's not a high compliment, I don't know what is.
Thanks, guys.
So Jimmy, your service and everything I just read from those you have served with, I think says it all. Thank you for your service. Thank you for taking care of people. And they have clearly shared how much you mean to them. So from your distinguished rap sheet, we know you love to travel. We hope retirement gives you the opportunity to bag your last two continents. So hopefully you can get on an airplane, get to Australia, jump that ferry to Antarctica, and knock those out. You will be missed, and congratulations, Ranger Buddy. And General Sellers, sir, the microphone is yours.